Welcome to Studio GGG, where imagination meets innovation. Are you ready to bring your creative ideas to life? At Studio GGG, we specialize in pushing the boundaries of sound, voice, music, and audio storytelling. Whether you're producing a hit podcast, crafting an immersive audio drama, or developing the next big idea, we've got the talent and tools to make it happen. From award-winning voiceover work to groundbreaking sound design, sonic branding, Studio GGG turns your vision into reality. Let's reimagine creativity together. Visit us online at studioggg.io and see what we can create together. Studio GGG, creativity reimagined. This is Chris McHale, and this is Air GG. We're talking rejection, dejection. 5 things to get you through the night and set your creativity free. That's the story we're telling today, and the story starts one day when I sat at my kitchen table scanning my email on my laptop, and there it was, what I've been waiting for months. I met an agent a while ago at a writers' conference, and there was a connection, and it was the connection I was looking for, an agent. I'm a writer, she's an agent. Connection. It was like that. I believed that she was the one that I had to give my book to. And we had a little conversation, and she said, "Send me your book." Magic words. Every writer wants to hear. Send me your book. I'll read it. I'll tell you what I think. And then the ultimate fantasy. I read it. It's fantastic. I'll rep it. All that is either in or not in the unopened email on my desktop. I used to bruise like a peach. I was so sensitive and vulnerable. I had skin like lambskin. What I mean is I was very defensive, and I took rejection very deeply. But these days, my skin's gone full-on lizard mode, tough, weathered, way less bothered by the sting of a no. It's not that I don't care anymore. I've just been hit with so many rejections from publishers and editors and brands, account execs, A&R guy, you name it. I've reached a point you have to dig yourself out of a hole. You can find yourself walking the streets and going into a dive, sitting at the Pine Bar and staring at a mirror can happen. But creative rejection is part of a creative worker's life. What separates the artists from the executives is how you deal with it. It never gets better, okay? I've been doing this over 30 years. It never gets better. Nobody ever likes facing the no, but learning to face the no will get you to the yes. That's a lesson I learned from a lifetime of rejection. Every artist either gets it or doesn't, but the truth is not getting it is the path to failure in an artist's life. You may never get back out of the dive, if you don't learn to deal with rejection. So if your goal is to live your life and seek the success your art can bring, listen to this story. Let's start by defining success in an artist's life. It doesn't matter how art manifests through achievement, in a book, on a canvas, in a spiraling wind tunnel of an alto saxophone. Success is defined the same way. The well-played solo, the perfect paragraph, the gentle blending of watercolors, that's artistic success. But I don't mean perfection. The anvil of perfection is no place for an artist to find themselves. I'm talking about achievement through practice. Practice is key to any artist. What is your practice? How have you defined your practice? Honest practice will lead to honest results. Results that an artist can stand by. Why? Because they prep the ground They brought their best achievement to the stage. Whatever happens on that stage, they practice for it. So good or bad, they're going to go on that stage and they're going to perform and give the best performance. That's the goal, to give the best performance, not to achieve perfection. This is important to think about because solid practice lays the groundwork for dealing with rejection. I'm going to be looking at this issue of practice, on another Air to Gigi podcast, but I'm not saying it'll keep you out of the dive bar, but maybe you won't fall onto the sidewalk in front of the dive bar at dawn. Whether you're posting a new song or putting out art, posting content, or pitching the next big idea, you will get feedback. And some of it's going to be legitimate and full of pro advice to help you grow. But some of it is going to suck. That's just the fact. People love to get negative on your ass. But you've got to learn to kind of navigate those 2 points. Is it legitimate feedback or is it just bullshit? And a lot of it is bullshit. I once knew a writer, a friend of mine, who stuck a pencil in the ceiling whenever he was rejected. He worked in the basement, and he had kind of like what I think they call a drop ceiling up there. And he'd sharpen his pencils, and he'd up to the ceiling, and they would stick in the ceiling. And by the time I visited him one day at his writing studio in the basement, there had to be like hundreds of pencils up there. I mean, hundreds. He was kind of honoring his rejection. That was one of my earliest lessons about dealing with rejection. To him, he was seeking rejection. He was actually looking for it. It was important to him, and he was sort of marking it with pencils in the ceiling. That's what rejection does. I mean, it can pile up. But you have to vibe with it and own it, because the reality is that most of your big ideas won't even make it off the runway. I mean, I always talk about baseball because Hall of Fame baseball hitter has missed 7 out of 10 times. I think when you're a writer, you're probably going to miss 99 out of 100 times. And rejection is going to sting. That's the truth. But it's also the road, the path, the sidewalk you walk on to get there. The move isn't to avoid rejection. It's to own it and use it to get better. Flip those no's into yeses, or at the very least, leave things behind with no regrets. I've had a tough time with that one, but it's essential to look at the regrets in your life, acknowledge them, and move forward. For me, it's the most critical thing of all. It's something that took me years to really get to look at those regrets, own those regrets, honor them, love them, hug them, and then move forward. I think for an artist, for a creative worker, there's nothing more important. You're going to get rejected. You need to learn to look at it and move forward. Move forward. That's the job. Creative rejection is part of the process. 12 publishers rejected Harry Potter. 12. Van Gogh only sold a handful of paintings during his lifetime. Does that mean their work was trash? No. I mean, it doesn't, obviously. What it means is that rejection is part of the process. Van Gogh paintings are worth millions. They fill museums. So what did the rejection mean during his lifetime? Nothing. It meant nothing at all. The artist's job, as I said, is to keep moving forward. Period. That's it. When you do that, you'll have the opportunity to move from rejection to success. Steven Spielberg was rejected from USC Film School multiple times. Sylvester Stallone on rejection said, quote, "I'll take rejection as someone blowing a bugle in my ear to wake me up and get going rather than retreat." Charge, right? Sylvester Stallone. I love that quote. Stephen King, his novel Carrie got rejected 30 times before it got picked up. 30 times. He even threw the manuscript into the trash, and his wife fished it out, and boom, look at where he is now. The moral? Rejection sucks, but it's also fire that fuels the comeback. I made myself a cup of tea and sat at my table and opened the agent's email. I'd taken a lot of time with this book, maybe 3 or 4 complete drafts, like 100,000 each. I poured blood on the page. I'd made the writing my best writing. I loved the voice of the book and the characters and the scenes. It was everything I wanted it to be. It dove deep underneath the surface of a distinct and violent story world. I'd lived in this story world and felt the sharp pain there. This book was exorcising some demons for me, and it was saturated in harsh truth, but it was fiction. But I loved it. I love this book. I still do. The agent wrote in her email that she liked the writing. She said it was decisive and powerful and intelligent, everything you want to hear, but she missed the stakes. She didn't get the stakes and didn't understand what was driving these characters. So she took a pass on the book. Rejection can crush you, or you can use it to level up. Here are 5 ways you can flip the script. Make rejection your power move. 5 ways to get you through that dark night of the soul. So get your pencils out, because here they come. Number 1, reframe rejection as feedback. Don't take it personal. Rejection isn't failure. Think of it as someone handing you free notes. Every no is a chance to tighten up your game. Maybe your idea wasn't ready, or maybe you need to shift your approach. Either way, it's intel you can use to level up the writing. Reframe rejection as feedback. Feedback, notes, things to learn. Number 2, separate yourself from your work. I really love this one. Separate yourself from your work. It's hard, I get it. But your work isn't you. Your work is not you. You're talented, whether someone says yes or no. You're valuable. You're a human being. It doesn't matter whether someone says yes or no. Separate yourself from your work. Rejection is about the project, not about your worth. Learn to step back emotionally, to move forward, and without carrying the weight of every rejection through every single day of your life. It's so important. It's so important. Separate yourself from your work. 3, find the right audience. Sometimes you're just pitching to the wrong crowd. A rejection doesn't mean your work sucks. It means it didn't click with that person, right? The person you sent it to, they didn't like it. They looked at it and said, I'll take a pass. But that just, more times than not, that means you're talking to the wrong people. People, keep hustling. And you'll find the right crew who vibes with your vision, with your words, with your canvas, with your poem, with your song. Find the right audience. Find the audience that dances to your music. Make them dance. And if they don't dance, find another audience. Because they're out there, people that get you. Being an artist means sharing your truth, and being an audience member means vibing with the truth of the artist. I mean, those two have to come together like magic. Find your right audience. Number 4, embrace growth mindset. I mean, that's kind of like corpy speak, and I've done a lot of copywriting, so forgive me, but it's really an important thing. Maybe a better way of putting this is like keep beginner's mind, because in beginner's mind, you approach everything like you're going to learn something, and it's crucial that you're not static. Your skills are constantly growing. Rejection is a chapter, not the end of your book. It's an L that you turn into a lesson. You got W for win and L for lose, unless L becomes your lesson. You embrace the growth mindset, you turn rejection into a lesson. The more you learn, the better you get, and that's how you win. That's how it works. Number 5, use rejection as motivation. How about that, huh? Flip the hustle. Flip the hurt into hustle. Flip the hurt into hustle. So they said no to you. Cool. Watch me come back stronger. I mean, this isn't about revenge, but maybe it is a little, but it's more about proving to yourself that rejection isn't a wall. I thought about my book's rejection a lot. I mean, it was on my mind for weeks. The agent offered to reread it if I worked it over with an editor she recommended. I mean, that's a pretty generous offer, but it's one I passed on. Why? Why would I pass on that? Because of the rejection, I faced something else that had been in the back of my mind. There was a growing sense in the book trade of something called own voice. I liked that idea, and it was an idea that I hadn't heard before. When I heard it, the first time I heard that phrase was at a book conference. It struck me. It stuck with me. Upon looking at my book, it became obvious to me that it wasn't written in my own voice, quote unquote, own voice. What do I mean? Simply put, the book was not reflective of my voice. It was a work of fiction based on part of my life that had been intense and brutal and had changed me. And I'd used it to write this story. But I did begin to think, after the rejection, why hadn't I just written my story in the first place? My rejection became the fuel to tackle the real story, and tackling the truth of my story was harsh. It's a tough thing to do, to bring your writing truth to the pages of your own story. The rejection of my book gave me the courage to do that. Everyone gets rejected. Everyone. Every artist gets rejected. And the winners are the ones who keep going when others quit. The road to success is messy and filled with roadblocks and dead ends, but your only job, keep moving forward. That's it. The path to success is not linear. It's a maze. There will be roadblocks and detours and bridges to nowhere and dead ends. It's crazy. However, keep moving forward. Perseverance, that's the word. Perseverance. That's the key word of everything I've been talking about. Perseverance. Rejection is part of the grind. Unnecessary part. Get used to it. Learn from it. Make it work for you. Eat rejection for breakfast and burp out success. I mean, keep doing you, the artist. Eventually, those no's will become yeses, and when they do, you will earn every beautiful feeling that wraps around your bones. This is Chris McHale, and this is Rejection. And we look at the practice and the business of creativity We're looking at every aspect. I've had a long career, and I'm going to have a lot of people come on here and talk about their interesting and labyrinth careers, starting next week with Lance Massey, who is a successful and well-known sound designer, one of the original iconic sound designers who I had the honor to work with. And together we worked on a project for T-Mobile that turned into a ringtone that Lance created and became iconic for many, many years, 2 decades of dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. Lance is coming on here next week, and we're going to talk through the process of creating that ringtone and sonic branding and all sorts of good stuff. So join us next week on Air to Gigi. This is Chris McHale. Thank you so much for listening. Go to studiojigigi.io and subscribe to our newsletter. It comes out every week. Join the website. It's artist friendly, artists first. Thank you again for your time. Bye. Studio Gigi, the ultimate sandbox for your audio creativity. Ready to take your voice to the star? Visit studiojigigi.io and join today. Upload your voiceover reel, and every month we select one unique voice to bring to life one of our shortwave stories. Those mysterious voices from the ether, atmospheric artifacts that drift into the cosmos. It could be you. Join Studio Gigi today, and don't forget to upload your reel. That's studiojigigi.io. Step into the unknown. Read one of our shortwave stories and catch your shortwave to the stars.